Welcome to the Founder Podcast, where we explore the journeys of some of the most successful and inspiring entrepreneurs from around the world. I'm your host, Chris Lee, a serial entrepreneur with a passion for building and growing businesses. Throughout my career, I founded multiple nine-figure businesses and learned a thing or two about what it takes to succeed in the world of business. I want to share those lessons with you by searching out the coolest guests on planet Earth and have them share their own incredible stories. But this podcast, it's not just for entrepreneurs. It's for anyone that's looking to be inspired by these stories of people who have overcome incredible odds and create something truly remarkable. So join me on this journey as we explore the fascinating world of entrepreneurship and meet the founders that are shaping it today. Let's dive in. Welcome to another episode. Today I am joined by Mr. Brandon Poulin. Brandon is serial entrepreneur with his wife, Kaelin. They have built a freaking empire. Brandon is still a young buck, sub 30, 29 years old. Is that right?
Oh, I'm just creeping up on 30 in July, man. Creeping up on it. Getting old.
So Brandon is the founder of Lady Boss. This is a health and apparel company. They built this thing to doing about $50 million a year before they eventually sold it off just over a year ago to Russell Brunson. Brandon is a believer. He is a family man. He a husband and a father of two daughters. Is that right?
That's right, man. In the thick of it, bro.
Awesome. So I think that's probably the thing that I appreciate most about Brandon is he puts God first and family, and then just is a big dude when it comes to founding businesses and consulting and all that good stuff. So excited to have Brandon. Welcome to the show, dude.
Dude, I'm pumped to be here, man. You were on my show. Now I'm on your show. We just get to hang out. I love it.
So remind us, what's the name of your podcast?
It's called Big Business Mistakes, man. So the idea was basically lots of tips and highlights and stuff. And so we wanted to take a different angle, right? Like the mistakes and then kind of learn the lessons through there. So some good stories, man. Dude, you killed that podcast, by the way, Chris. You killed it. I got off and I was like inspired, man. You did so good.
I appreciate it, man. Podcasting is so fun. You know, you get to just spend time with really cool individuals, talk about, whatever makes sense in the moment. It's a good time. So Brandon, dude, you're young. You built freaking huge business. Give us the backstory. How old were you when you and Kaelin started building Lady Boss?
Oh man, so we launched in like 2014, like Q4 2014. So I guess I would have been about 20 years old. Yeah, 21, 20. No, we actually launched it. We were engaged. So we weren't married yet. We were engaged. And it's kind of crazy, dude. Like we had like relationship hanging on a thread at one point. And so we actually hit rock bottom in our relationship while we were engaged. Rock bottom in our business because we were in network marketing, right? That's how we met. So we hit rock bottom in all these areas while we were engaged. And then that company, which was our first big company, and we've got a lot of different portfolio businesses now, and we're doing all kinds of things, but it kind of, Lady Boss kind of formed out of like the pit, like in a way. So it's pretty wild.
But, I mean, the fact that you guys launched this thing when you're 20, 21 years old, and it was the massive success that it is, I mean, that's pretty uncommon. I think a lot of people more take the route that I did, start a business, suck, fail, right? Like, try figuring it out. Don't build it very big right off. Like, man, so give us the backstory. Like, what led to the launch of Lady Boss? Obviously, it wasn't just some overnight success, right? Like, everybody's got a story. Like, tell us yours.
Yeah, man. I mean, it really started in network marketing, right? Like I filed my first LLC when I was 17 years old. It was an auto glass company. Right? My buddy came back from Arizona, and I was in Albuquerque at the time. That's where I grew up. So not exactly the entrepreneurial hub of America, but
New Mexico. What are you talking about?
Yeah, dude, come on. It's like I love the weather, man. But anyway, it's like So my buddy came back, told me about this auto glass thing, gave me a kit, little fanny pack pouch, showed me how to do it, and I was like, I could do this. He's like, yeah, we just go to get a gas station. So like that was really my first entrepreneurial endeavor, right? Like Googling how to set up an LLC at 17 years old, filed it, walked into a gas station. It was like, hey man, I'll clean your customers' windshields for you. And then if they have a chip, I'll just offer to fix it for them. You'll be the only gas station around that does that. And everyone will want to come here and I'll pay you to do it. I was like, I think it was like $30 a day. And he's like, okay. And I was like, really? I was like, really? And, so that's where it started, man. And hired a bunch of my friends, didn't know anything about anything. I was like 17, man. Like I was just like, I don't know what I was doing, but I made money, right? Made some money. It all kind of
what kind of money are we talking about?
Bro, like I could make like $500, $600, $700 in a day at a gas station with a kit. Like that's pretty good, man. Like,
dude, that's awesome.
What is that a year? Like
$500 a day is
what is that a year?
150 grand.
There you go. Yeah. See, I should have just done more of that, but but it kind of crumbled, man, and just kind of fizzled out. And then I came home one day from the gym, and I was still living with my parents at the time, and my dad opens the door with like this protein shake in my face, and he's like, "Here, try. I made your protein shake," and I was like, "You don't make me anything. Like, why are you giving me a protein shake, right?" And then he like sat me down. I watched this video, and it was like the first time I had ever seen the network.
Tell me
marketing.
It was Amway. Tell me it was
no,
Amway.
dude, no, it was not Amway. It was body. It was Body by Vi. So it was a 90-day health challenge. Visalis. Yes. They grew pretty fast. And so I signed up illegally at 17. Because you're supposed to be 18, I think. So I don't know, man. Rules are like whatever, right? So signed up, and that was really like my breeding ground, right? So you talk about overnight success. Like I met Kaelin through there. She was crushing it. She always likes to say, and I'll say it for her, she's not on here. Like she was making more than I was. She was crushing it, right? So I actually did pretty well, man. I learned so much in that. We came together, started building together, got engaged, and then it all crashed, right? Like all just cratered.
Always
yeah. So cratered, and then that's kind of how.
So what happened?
Like, I mean,
what led to the demise of the network marketing?
I think there's a lot of things. I think number one is I had nobody else to talk to, right? And they didn't teach us lead generation, right? They didn't teach us, like, it was like talk to everybody around you. So bro, like I find the common ingredient with entrepreneurs a lot of the time, I find the common ingredient is they know how to sell, right? And you were telling your story and you were door knocking, right? And I was like, bro, you learn how to sell when you door knock. Same thing with network marketing. You're door knocking their phone, right?
Right.
And so I was out of people to talk to. I talked to every person I'd ever met, literally, in my phone book. Yeah. And we were grinding social media to get leads, and then that kind of started to dry up. And then we were pushing and building through our organization, and just like the company's momentum stalled, so the belief kind of starts to falter. And then you have like it's kind of like a not attrition of customers, but more attrition of awareness, right? That's kind of what happens in MLM. Is like just, oh, I've heard of that thing, I've already made a decision about it. And also, in health and wellness, we tend to blame the product or program we buy that we never really tried or didn't put our effort into, move on and say, oh, that didn't work. So I think all those factors, I think maybe there's some leadership things in the company, some weird stuff going on there from an integrity standpoint, not like embezzlement, but just like kind of character stuff that was a little weird.
Right.
So all of that kind of, I think, blended together and made this like kind of, all the ingredients to kind of start to crash the, kind of crash the rocket ship, so to speak.
Dude,
so that's really what happened.
MLMs are wild. Like, I didn't share this on your podcast, but over the years I've been involved with a handful of MLMs, right? Like in my early years of entrepreneurship, you get this bug of like, man, maybe I can make this work because everybody's got a buddy that went and just crushed it or whatever. Like
Yeah.
right after my mission, I got into Quickstar, which was Amway, and then I got into like another juice company, and then this like because I had a buddy who his dad was number 8 at Tahitian Noni, and he was making $1 million a month, and then I freaking meet dude. My wife's cousin married into this international MLM company. It's called Sunrider. They have a big presence over in Asia, and some of the wealthiest people I know, like literally worth like $15 billion or whatever. And so like all these different, it's wild because you have the majority of the population sucks, right? Like they don't make anything of it. They try all selling their friends and family, and then you have these like crazy outliers that just go and crush it. It's always blown my mind, the whole MLM scene.
Yeah. Dude, it's funny. There's this friend of mine, Josh. He's real good kid. He's like 19. He goes to my church. I see him there all the time. And he's just like trying to get going in entrepreneurship. I'm like, dude, just go join an MLM and go sell something. Right. Like, you take away all of the other functions that you have to fulfill. You take away the HR, you take away the ops, you take away the product development, you take away the finance, you take away all these things that you have to deal with, and you just go learn how to sell and you learn people. And that laid such a great foundation for me. So you say overnight success, like Lady Boss was like, 200K the first year, 2 million the second year, 7 million, then 30, and then 33, and then 44. Right. So like it was fast, but for 4 years, dude, 4 years, I was banging the phones, speaking in front of living rooms, probably 200 nights a year. I was in a living room, like actually 200 nights a year. I was in a living room, like meeting a bunch of people for the first time, making product for them, showing them a video, giving my presentation, my testimony, closing the room, signing up forms. So I knew the health customer, right? I knew the sale part. I knew how to communicate, right? And then you start to build the team, right? So I knew how to leading volunteers is way harder than leading employees that get paid and it's guaranteed, right? So I'm like, if you want to just learn like sales, man, just go join a freaking MLM. I love it for that reason. I think, it's funny now because Lady Boss was actually acquired by Russell, who is one of my early mentors and now a good friend of ours, and you know him. And so he turned it into an MLM. So, and we're part owners in that. And so it's kind of funny now that we own an MLM now. Right.
Nice.
And it's like it went all the full circle. And he's kind of the same thing that you were saying. He's like, all my richest friends have MLMs.
Yep. Hey, dude, that's the best part. It's like the owners, right? The owners just crush it. Oh, dude, that's so cool. So, man, so obviously Lady Boss wasn't an overnight success. You learned sales. You were pitching living rooms for 4 years before you started this business. What was the turning point? 200,000, obviously not a crazy year of sales your very first year. What was the turning point that took you from that to, I think you ended up being like the 4th fastest growing company according to Inc. 5000, right? Like what was your big like aha breakthrough that just put Lady Boss on the map?
Yeah, man. I think it's so many things all bundled into one. But I would say that the biggest thing that struck my head is like, I think what people, and I'm working with entrepreneurs now, enterprise CEO, helping founder-led companies scale, right? And a lot of these businesses are in that like 5 million-ish range a year, right? And they're like, how do I grow? And I think that the biggest thing is we tapped into predictable revenue. We tapped into a consistent customer acquisition model. And so, we have these like episodic income events when we first start. We're just trying to figure out who we are, right? So we're like, hey, we sell at this fair and we run this ad in this magazine, or we do this commercial, or we buy this ad, right? Or we launch this promo. And so we're just like in this like launch and just throw stuff out there. And you got to do that, right? You got to like just make sales happen, right? Like that's number one. But what really turned us from a couple 100K to kind of turn on the jets was we figured out first it was our Pocket Personal Trainer program. We figured out the math, dude. And you'll never believe this. This is crazy. I don't know if I've told this story before on a podcast. So we're in Puerto Rico. My wife and I got married, right? This was right after we launched what was called Lady Boss. We changed the name to Lady Boss about a year in, but so we're in Puerto Rico. We're like making like 20 grand a month at around this 200K mark, right? And we're like enjoying the laptop lifestyle. We're like, man, we made it. This is so good. We're like, we got our dog. We're newlyweds. We're just like basking in that, life was good. And so we do this thing as entrepreneurs. It's so dumb, but we do it. And I did it. And it was, oh, so we made this successful. It's working. Like, what are we going to do next? It's like, no, like if I could go back and just slap myself, like I would. I'm like, no, you don't need to create a new diet program. Like we were literally, I think it was called the Gladiator diet is what it was going to be called. We were going to like, oh, like this is fine, but like really, like I think we need to make this program. And so we were going to like scrap the whole thing, the whole Pocket Personal Trainer we built, like scrap it. Like, I don't know what we were thinking. I was like, oh, we're only getting a couple customers a day. Like they're not staying forever. It's like, oh, like we need a new program. Like this is like the thought. And it's like, as soon as you get something and you strike gold, you're like, let's go find another mine. That's the equivalent. This is what we do as entrepreneurs. And I see it like even at the millions of dollars a year revenue point. And even now, like even at when we were at tens of million, I was like still trying to do this in my head, and I had to like smack that side of me and be like, no. So I look at the numbers. I'm like, hold on, honey, before we do this, let me go look and see like really what return we got out of the ads that we bought. And so we had spent $1,000 on ads. And I didn't even know this at the time because I just didn't understand the math of business. But I had this something just tapped me on the shoulder, bro. Like, and I was like, I looked in there, I logged in, and we had made $5,000 from that $1,000 we spent. And this is a digital product with 100% gross profit margins, right? And I'm like, wait, we spent $1,000 and we made $5,000. I'm like, I don't think we should do this new thing. And then we turned up the juice, man. And that's when I realized that the game of scaling a business and growing it is like, you have to understand the path of math for your business.
Love that.
And so this is like a training that I did. Like I finally pulled it out of my head after doing it for like 7 years. And like, it's like one of my favorite things to talk about because we want to just be this episodic thing. And oh yeah, my business is great. I do 2 launches a year. And I'm like, that sounds awful. That sounds like no consistent revenue. You have 2 giant hits a year. You have nothing in between. Your team's stressed out. Like you have to have consistency to scale.
Right.
So when I finally tapped into that and started to understand, okay, target customer acquisition, CPA, and then wrapping that into customer acquisition cost from a financial standpoint, tying those advertising to finance, and then understanding the lifetime value. And you start to you map that. It's like I call it the triangle. It's like the Trinity, bro. That's how I look at it. It's biblical. It's like, it's a Trinity. So once I tapped into that, I think that was like one of the major things, and we started to turn things up. And then I just caused a slew of other problems because we had all this revenue coming in I had to figure out, right? Which was, I call those champagne problems.
Yeah, no, those are good problems to have, when revenue is flowing, just figuring out how to fulfill. Love it.
Yeah.
So dude, that's phenomenal. So basically you woke up to this realization of like, I just actually need to understand my business more. I need to understand the financials, what's the fuel to this fire. And then you just dumped and you figured out how to dump more and more fuel. So did you guys bootstrap this whole thing, or did you have outside investment? How did you get this thing rolling?
Dude, we just bent out over and just strapped them on, man, and just trudged right through, bro. I think we were like last $1,000, bought a program, learned digital marketing, like just really strapped. Like I remember filming, my brother was the manager at a gym, like a local gym. And after the MLM stuff had crashed, Kaelin came back in town. She was getting courted by another MLM company, and we decided not to jump, right? A lot of people, they'll jump. So this is kind of like the inception of Lady Boss, right? We're like, hey, like you are an IFBB pro. We understand sales and health. Like we know our customers, like we could do this on our own. We could do it digitally, right? Like, hey, it's like, that's the era we're in, right? And so just being able to, dive in and build the tools out with a computer, man, like what a freaking time to be alive. It's insane.
Right.
Now it's AI. I'm like, if you're like just getting started, like you can basically all these positions, Chris, me and you had to hire like 3 years ago. There's some low level like work that can now just be done by AI in like just 2 minutes. It's crazy, dude. So I think Bootstrapped is awesome. I like it because, you know, you're just getting to that profitable model. I think like later on, maybe phase 2, phase 3 of your entrepreneur career, you start to understand the game of taking companies public, raising money, taking in capital, like bigger, like it just keeps getting eaten by a bigger fish at that like that's the game, right? So I think
Right.
for us, I had no idea about any of that. I didn't understand that world. I was just like, okay, we got to make profit to pay our bills. So I remember being in my brother's gym. He was a manager of a gym, filming overnight. I had like my iPhone, and this stupid like $30 Amazon thing that I bought that like had a stand, and we were filming the workout videos, bro, overnight. Like it was a grind, bro. Like we bootstrapped all the way, and then we kind of it was cool because we used digital products to segue into physical goods and inventory because that kind of generated the cash. So we never once had to take any outside money, which was pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, dude, the bootstrap life is definitely different than this whole seed and Series A, Series B, taking on all this other capital. So, man, mad respect for that. If you could do Lady Boss all over again, what would you do differently?
Oh, I would hire the team and pay the salaries for the people that it needed. The first time I built my leadership team, I looked around one day and I was like, nobody here has been where we are or where we want to go. Nobody. I'm like, we got great people. Like they will bleed for this, but they just haven't been there.
Right.
And it was evident in, the IT systems breaking, our infrastructure there, the mismanagement of inventory, the amount of energy and time that Kaelin and I still had to spend in the marketing side of things, just all of it, man. I think we had one person that was originally a part of that, like come up team, like that first 10, 15 employees, right? I think we had one person who grew and their lid kept growing with us out of, the 7 people we ended up with that ran the business. And so I would, if I was doing it again, when we started to really spike the revenue, I had all this profit and I just was dumb and thought I was just going to train so here's what we do as entrepreneurs, right? First we hire friends and family, and then we end up in this nepotism, right? That's the definition of nepotism. It's like we're hiring friends and family. We're not treating our business professionally, and that's okay. Like we got to get going, but that's one of the things that happens. And then from there, we think everybody will learn as fast as we will, right? Because we think they're like us, because we just go, oh yeah, you just watched this course and like did this thing and you just take action and learn. But like people aren't like you, right? Like listeners right now, like no, your employees are not like you, right? If they were like you, they would be you and have the business. Doesn't mean they're not smart. Doesn't mean they can't learn fast, but you're not going to grow into the 8 figures, right? You're not going to grow if no one's making more than 80K a year, 70K a year, and you're trying to train everyone, right? So if I was going to go back, Chris, that's what I would do, man. I would have paid the right salaries. I would have spent the time that I ultimately ended up spending anyway, building those positions, recruiting for those people that could really, they had been where I had wanted to go. Cause like when you start hiring people, you start making profit, right? So you get the consistent revenue, you get the profit, your business is making money. And then you go and you hire people that have been where you want to go next. Like it's insane how you can get there and you know this, but way better than me, bro. You've done it big. Like when you do that, it's like you just pour gasoline on it, and all of a sudden you're not the smartest person in the room in that area. People start teaching you stuff, and you're like amazed at what they're doing. And
Right.
that's when it gets cool, man. So that's what I would do all
Dude,
over again. Not be cheap.
what what you're sharing is so valuable and such a hard lesson to learn as a bootstrapping entrepreneur, right? Um, allowing, dude, it's so hard to transition from these people that have bled for you and have worked so hard within your organization, yet their ability is capped, right? And it's not
Yeah.
that they're not great people, right? But
Yep.
yeah, and it's so rare for someone like that to actually, grow or graduate to the next level of what you need. And so you kind of go through this transformation as a business where you have to go out and find higher level leadership, higher level management that have done things that you want to do, like you're saying. And that's the hard thing. So one thing that actually worked for me in building my business SoulGen was we kind of did a hybrid approach in the fact that we went initially. So we had some just scrappers, right? Like scrappy people like you're talking about, but we went after people that had done some really cool things. And we said, hey, come work for less and share in the upside, right? And so we brought in some equity holders early on that were earning sweat equity and had done some really cool things. And so you kind of get that hybrid of the scrappy, but also extremely capable. And no,
Love
dude,
that.
that is such wise words to share. And I think anybody that's listening to this is building a business, listen up to what Brandon's talking about. Like, go and spend the money on the right management, on the people that have gone and done it. Um,
Bro, like
Brandon,
on this topic for a second,
yeah,
like one of my clients that I'm working with that works with me on a yearly basis, I was talking to him and literally the guy wanted to just like quit and throw his whole business away, right? Like making like 50, 60, $70,000 a month in profit, right? It's just like hating it. And I'm like, and then you go look at the org chart and it's like, dude, you're a creator, you're a visionary. You like marketing and sales. You have nobody that makes more than $50,000 a year in operations. And so you're dealing with
crazy.
this like you're just doing administrative crap and operations that like you don't need to be doing. And it's like if we would just sometimes like if you got to sacrifice some of that profitability, right? If you're making 50 grand a month in profit, go pay 10 grand to that and go find yourself someone who you can hand off all this crap that you don't want to deal with, right? The basics, the operations, the create this system to run this play over and over again, right? Like there's one-time projects and then there's ongoing responsibilities. And like you slowly peel those off of yourself and navigate them to other people so you can do the thing that makes the money. You got to make it rain, right?
Right.
It's like so it's like, but we're like, oh, like we're cheap, dude. I was cheap. I was like, I had hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in profit. And yet I still had what I think one person that was making six figures at the company when we were at 30 million a year, bro. And I was
Right.
like, I was running around like a one man freaking band. And I almost went insane. Like I had to work so long. Like I became a freaking machine and I just grew into what was required of me, but it almost freaking killed everything else in my life in that year because I just didn't realize it. Right. And it was so simple. I just didn't see it.
Yeah. Two pieces of advice that really helped me along my career path in regards to this topic was, one, if I am doing certain work and I could hire it for less than what I would be willing to do it for myself, right? Like, for example, if I'm doing $25 an hour work, but I would never work for $25 an hour, right? Like, what are you doing, right? Go and hire somebody to do the $25 an hour work. Or if I'm doing $100,000 work, right? And I can go and I wouldn't take a job for $100,000 doing that. Like, what am I doing? Go and find somebody that will do it, right? And just like you said, sharing those
So
profits.
good.
And the other thing is, I don't know, do you know Brooke Castillo?
Yep. Yep.
So Brooke shared some advice with me. We did a mastermind a while back, and which was phenomenal. She doesn't have a person on her staff that makes less than $120,000.
Love
And
that.
and I was like, wait, what? You don't have one? That no. She's like, I only hire high level people and I hire very few of them and they take care of everything. And I was just like that after I met with her, something really clicked and I really upped my management game and like people I was bringing in and what I was willing to pay because of that one interaction. But yeah,
Love that.
it, I mean, it's something
Well,
that every entrepreneur needs to learn.
and another thing on that calculation, right? Like if you take your net income in your business last year, divide it by 2,080, you're basically going to get how much money you make per hour in a 40-hour work week, right? So, if that number is $200, right? That's how much your time is worth as the entrepreneur. And that's like what it was worth the last 12 months, right?
Right.
So if it's $200, anything that you can pay someone to do for less than $200 that frees up your time to go do what you should be doing is worth that money. And even further so, if you believe in yourself and you're growing, what's your time worth the next 12 months? Where are you projected to go? You could even go as far as say, what's your projection? And it depends how risk tolerant you are, conservative, whatever.
Right.
But the bottom line is like, what's your future worth of the time that you could spend in the future 12 months, the next 12 months? Maybe it's 400, and you say, hey, if I can pay someone less than $400 to do this, then I should be doing that. And then you just develop this muscle, man. It's like every time I'm like, I need to do this. Like, okay, what's going to move the needle in my business, right? I wake up in the morning, right? I plan my week on Sunday. I'm like, all right, plan for the week, go and look at my quarterly strategic, roll that stuff down. Okay, here's the stuff I need to do that's going to move the needle. And then I'm like, who can do this for me? It's like that delegation lens, right? We're always like, you have to develop that muscle as an entrepreneur. You just get stuck in like the hamster wheel. It's so easy
Absolutely.
too.
Absolutely. Dude, this is great stuff. I think these are like real, like tangible nuggets that guys can take and apply into their business that both you and I have gone through and can drastically change the course of your business. Good stuff,
No,
man.
no fluff and buff, bro. No fluff and buff
No
today.
fluff and buff.
We're
That's so good,
motorboating
man.
the pie. We're motorboating the
Let's
pie right now.
go. Oh man,
Hopefully they know what that means.
dude, I don't think I haven't shared it on this podcast yet, but yes, if you guys want to know, stay tuned. More motorboat and the pies happening.
It's not what you think. It's not what you think.
It's not what you think. We're talking about time management, impact management here. Good stuff, dude. So you've sold off your business. You're kind of you're young. You obviously have a ton of life left. What motivates you right now? Like what's your passion? What's pushing you?
Oh, it's a great question, man. Right now, I signed the paperwork. I went to Europe for 2 weeks with my wife, had a blast, and then got back and was like, I'm ready to go. I'm like, I can't like sit around, So I think really, I've found purpose right now in business, in the arena of business. I found purpose in serving who I used to be. So Kaelin and I are advising and investing in companies, helping them grow, founder-led companies, changing the way they scale, right? All the stuff we're talking about, it's like, having someone one-on-one to see those things in your business. So for us right now, that's what we're excited about. We're working with a select handful of people. It's just been a lot of fun, man. I did one thing for like a decade, like health, weight loss, built this company. And now I get to go and just play in other people's sandbox and like one pivot just for my experience. Not like, I kind of have like I had a bad taste in my mouth for like the like coaching, like consulting, like investor kind of industry. Because most of those people haven't really done anything. And so I just felt like, hey, this would be a lot of fun. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're excited about and we're building as far as like from a business standpoint. And really it's people that I really like and companies that are doing things that matter to me. Right. So we got one company. So it's for Christian entrepreneurs. It's a It's a mastermind community. Like that thing is so much fun. The King's Brotherhood, like the transformation in there from a spiritual side, business side, all that. That's super fun. We're working with a company in the jet industry right now. Um, a little bit less than half of private jet flights are empty, and there's no marketplace for empty legs to shop those actual legs. And so that's a really exciting like tech project we're working on.
That's
We're helping
cool.
a lot of health companies, that are similar to kind of what we did at Lady Boss supplement brands, high ticket coaching brands, and some other things. So really just playing that kind of advisor, like the person I wish I had to talk to when I was like in the thick of it, bro. Like there just aren't a lot of people that could relate to my problems, and I didn't do a good job of like continuing to elevate my mentorship. Right. I did a bad job of that as an entrepreneur personally. I think I left a lot on the table, and I think I made some massive mistakes. I know I did. I'm like, I could quantify them, right? Like I made some massive mistakes because I was in masterminds. I was learning from people, but there were just few relationships where people had done bigger things than I wanted to do that I really could connect with and learn from. Um, and so I regret that. And so I think I'm kind of like going back and like, reconciling that in a way for other people and helping them do that, which is a lot of fun right now. So
That's cool, man. It sounds like a lot of exciting things. So, family, business, like how do you balance it all?
love that, man. Good question. Well, this is where you taught me about motorboating the pie. And he's like, no, you said, I got to tell everyone. Cause now they're like, what the heck is this guy saying? Like you said,
Right.
hey, it's not one pie with all sliced up, right? In the different parts of life, they're all one pie and you got to go all in on each area when you're there, which I love that, man. That's great. Um, I think
Motorboat
it's
that
more like,
sucker.
yeah, yeah, dude. I love it. I love it. In case you
Uh,
weren't paying attention, we're back. I look at it like rhythm, man. It's like rhythm for me. So I'm big on kind of the reoccurring cadence of thing. I'm really scheduled, man. I'm intentional about it. So it's like I've got a cadence to my health, and like when I work out, when I do cardio, when I eat, like I dial in a system and a cadence. So I'm
so
successful in that area. I have the same.
dig into that.
Yeah, yeah.
Dig in. Give us some details on like what is your cadence? What does it look like?
On the family side or the health side.
Family, health, all of it. Like what does a
Love it,
day in the
bro.
life of Mr. Brandon Poulin look like?
Bro, I do a couples alignment with my wife every week, right? And so we have an agenda we walk through. There's about 12 things on it where we're dealing with our kids, having conversations about them. We're having conversations about our marriage. We're having conversations about our schedule for the week. We're having conversations about our faith, about the food we eat, and like everything, bro. And if I'm like, hey, we're struggling in this area, I just add it to that list. And so I've got that alignment, right? The Bible says that two can't walk lest they be in agreement. And so if you're in agreement, you're in alignment. And so with your spouse, if you're married, you have to be aligned, bro. Like you have to be. Otherwise everything else is going to suffer. So I think it starts there in terms of that side. I've got a cadence with my kids, bro. I see my girls every morning for breakfast. We sit down and eat breakfast together. It's a solid 20 minutes. It's all in on family. So I get my health stuff and so a little bit of work done before that, but I have that breakfast time with them. And then after work, it's dinners being made, and like I could have someone make dinner. I can afford that. I have that luxury. I'm blessed. But my wife loves to make it. It makes us feel like we're not just like outsourcing everything, living some like takeout lifestyle, right? And then we sit down as a family. So I play with the kids and I have intentional time with my children while she's doing dinner. And that's like in our home rhythm. And then on every Saturday morning, we do like a family outing, right? So it's like the jumpy park, the amusement park, the whatever. Like we went to where was that place we went to? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on it. Uh, bro, ever since COVID, I'm like, sometimes short-term memory, I'm just like blocks to lose it. But we went to this, we go to like tomfoolery water park place. So we just do something like that on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
And then we do a once a month trip. My wife and I do with the kids, like a family trip. And then my wife and I do a once a month weekend, like getaway. We leave the kids with nanny or grandma and do a weekend getaway for us. So like, there's this whole like cadence that I've like really like this year started pushing really hard. We were kind of doing it before.
Yeah.
So that's the family side, man. I
That's
could
so
dig
cool.
into the meat of it all, but
No, that's great. I mean, living it by design, like one
Mhm.
of my mentors, always shared that, you create culture either by design or by default. And you don't get a choice. If you don't choose design, you don't get to choose whether or not it's by default. It just happens, right? And
Yep.
nobody's life just turns out right, without being very intentional about it. So appreciate you sharing those. What are some of your biggest what's some of the best advice that you've gotten from a mentor?
Recently, you're not going to lose it all. You're not going to
You're
lose it
not going to
all.
lose it all. Nice. What was that in
Yeah, man.
reference to? Like why did that hit for you?
As for me anyway, and I think I've shared this before. Other entrepreneurs are like, yes, we have this like this away from motivation, right? Like we're motivated away from what we don't want. We're more motivated by pain than we
Absolutely.
are, pleasure or the dream we want. And so, um, I can get in this place sometimes of like operating in lack or operating out of like I'm just trying to get away from like what I don't want. And when reality it's not even it's not real. It's just like how I've like wired myself to be productive in a way. And so recently a mentor gave me this advice because I'm just like, man, I'm like, I got so much I want to do. It's never fast enough, bro. And then people look like you're 29, like all this. I'm like, dude, it don't matter, bro. You're turning 40, bro, or you're 40. You're
20,
43. Is that what you
39,
said?
39. I'm 39.
Oh, you're 39. You're about to turn 40. That's right. You got the big 40. So like, even you probably, bro, you probably are like, man, I'm not doing it fast enough. You'll have this voice like, oh, you're
Absolutely.
not there. Hell, bro, your growth isn't where you want it to be right now. And then you start to just like go into this place that's so dumb. And anybody else would look at you and be like, I couldn't even fathom having what you have. And
Right.
so I just want to tell you right now, like, no matter where you are, like, you're not going to lose it all. Like,
Love
if
that.
you take a night off, if you take a day off, if you get sick and you need to recover, your body needs to recover, you're not going to lose it all. Right? If you go out on a Saturday and spend time with your family and don't check your phone all day, you're not going to lose it all. If you go 2 days without making a social media post, you're not irrelevant, right? And I'm like,
I love this.
dude, everybody deals with this, man. Every freaking high performance entrepreneur deals with this. If we didn't deal with this, we wouldn't be high performers because we just have this. We're psychopaths. There's no
Dude, I
other way to
love
say it. It's
that.
like we're just psychopaths. We're just like so that was really good advice for me recently for sure.
That's incredible advice. Thank you for sharing. Uh, Best couple books, two books that have changed your life, been pivotal in your success, in your career, in your family. What are they?
Bro, I'm gonna go Proverbs on this one.
Nice.
Proverbs. I'm gonna go straight to the Bible, bro. I'm gonna be like,
Like
I'm
it.
gonna
Love it.
hopefully you air my episode. No, I'm just playing. I know you will. Uh, I think Proverbs blew my mind when I read it. Like, go read all the translations of Proverbs, bro. You'll be like so freaking mind blown with wisdom, like business wisdom, family wisdom, communication wisdom, sales wisdom. I would say like hands down one of the best books I've ever read. And then man, a number 2 book. Um that's a tough one, bro. There's so many that come to my mind right now. Um dude, I want to shout out my buddy Alex Hormozy, who was a huge part. We were buddies for a long time. I remember he made his first sale at gym launch. We picked him up, took him to the gym. And so he's got a book called $100 Million Offers. so good. Just about how to craft an offer. Like if your offer sucks, like it's hard to do everything else, right? So that's a great book that I reference. He's just put it together so well. So those are
Dude,
two solid books
by the way, Alex has got to be probably the smartest dude I know. Like
for
when
sure.
you hang around him, he's like Harvard level education to the nth degree plus street smarts, and it's just so refreshing to hear his take on pretty much everything. He's such a stud.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. Kaelin and I were the only two people at his wedding, and I love the guy to death. And he's like him and another guy I'll shout out is Josh Ilazeche, founder of Snow. Basically, both guys like my age that I'm like, damn, bro, I just ain't that smart. like, like I think I'm smart, but I'm like, I listen to two of them, and I'm like, nah, I ain't that smart, man.
I'm not that smart. You know,
It's all
I'm
good.
a big proponent of most entrepreneurs are somewhat dumb, otherwise they wouldn't be willing to take all the risks that they do. So feel
It's fair.
comfortable in the fact that you if you feel like you're not that smart, or anybody that's listening to this that doesn't feel very smart, the smart ones typically overanalyze and work for somebody else. So
It's true.
yeah.
So true, bro.
Good stuff. Well, dude, it's been fun. What give us a couple more things. So one for a budding entrepreneur that's just starting out, he's thinking about taking the leap from being employed to going and starting his or her business. What advice you giving to them?
Oh man. I would tell them I don't think that you have to just like cut your whole job and your whole thing and just like have some like look, if you're like me, right? Like I was 17. I haven't had a job since I was 17 years old, right? Some of us are just like hardcore and that's just like our risk profile, right? Like we just have that tolerance. So I think if you're that kind of person, like go move in with your parents, just build your business, right? If you've got kids, you got a family, you've got a life that you want to support and you have people that are relying on you, you don't have to give up everything to start a company. Like do it in the spare time, do it in the nights, do it in the weekends, right? Like do it in the edges. I think there's so many opportunities right now. There's so many things like I just look at some of the like there's Airbnb, there's crypto mining, there's be a content creator. Like there's so many ways that you could just use a cell phone and a laptop to be an entrepreneur in 2023. Like there's just no excuse, right? Like if you just haven't taken action, you're just lying to yourself. Like
Yeah.
it's never been easier. Like, oh, there's a recession. Like, no, it doesn't matter, right? There's so much opportunity. Like go learn about AI. Look, here's what I would say. Go learn about AI and then go sell companies a package to implement AI workflows so they can reduce their overhead and their salary. Like I would hire someone to do that.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
like go do that if you don't know what you want to do. So I think just go get after it, man. Go get after it. And you don't have to go all in. You don't have to quit everything. You could do it on the side, but not taking action, that's the only excuse that you have.
Amen. Amen. That's good stuff. Last question. So somebody's thinking about giving up. They're feeling like just the world's collapsing around them. Whether they're thinking about giving up on their business, giving up on their marriage, giving up on their life. What advice you giving them?
Giving up on their life? Oh,
Just
bro.
giving up, dude. They're thinking about giving up.
Co- Come to Austin and come to City Reach Church with me this Sunday and I'll meet you there. If you're at that place, bro, I'm like we can talk about tactics and business and all that, but if you got a hole in your soul, which everybody does in my opinion, I think we go into a faith side of things. So if you're at that place, hit me up in the DMs, come fly out to Austin and I'll have you at my church. I'm dead
Good
serious
stuff.
about it too.
Good
I'm
stuff.
dead serious about it.
Dude, as a believer, I agree. I think with a perspective on what life is all about gives you hope and direction and everything. So I appreciate that share. Brandon, where's the best way to follow you or get a hold of you via social media?
Bro, I'm on social. I mean, just type in my name and you'll find it. I also, Chris, for your audience, so I've got a CEO's 360-degree audit, right? So I made this list. It's over 100 items long, and it's just straight from my brain over the last decade. And so it's just identifying holes and recognizing opportunities. And, ignorance isn't bliss, it's poverty, and what you don't know hurts you. So I put together this audit. I give it to my private clients, but I just, want to throw it out to you guys for free if you guys want to grab it. So
Where can they snag it?
Yeah, theenterpriseceo.com/360 audit, 360 audit. And so it's theenterpriseceo.com/360 audit. If you guys just want to grab it, that's the value that I want to drop. And then, I do podcast, big business mistakes and stuff on social. So whatever fits your fancy, man, I'd love to help.
If you aren't following Brandon along with his wife Kaelin, they are great follows. They're amazing people. Brandon, thank you so much for your time. If you guys are still with us and made it this far, please go ahead and share in the comments on YouTube or in the reviews on the different podcast platforms some of your favorite nuggets or takeaways from this podcast with Brandon. Brandon, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your time. God bless, brother.
Look, Chris, I just want the audience to know, I just want to be like you when I grow up, where I have a $500,000 pair of shoes in my collection, bro. I'm like, that's what Chris was telling me before.
Easy.
Thanks for having me, man.
All
Thanks
right,
for having
appreciate
me,
it.
man.
Have a good one. Thanks.